When people talk about Lei Zhang, they often start with labels: idol, dancer, producer, Chinese superstar, XL member. But that's already the first mistake. Lei isn't a label. Lei is a case study in discipline, reinvention, and quiet dominance. He's what happens when talent meets obsession-level work ethic and refuses to quit when the system gets complicated. Lei Zhang, born Zhang Yixing, didn't enter this industry chasing shortcuts. He entered it like someone who knew from a very young age that greatness is rented, not owned, and rent is due every single day. Before EXO, before the stages, before the fame, there was a kid training endlessly, competing relentlessly, losing more than winning, but never leaving the room. That's important, because Lei's story isn't about instant success, it's about staying power. When SM Entertainment introduced EXO in 2012, it wasn't just a group, it was a global strategy. 2 subunits, 2 markets, 1 vision. Lei debuted as the main dancer of EXO-M, and from day one you could see it. Not just skill, but precision. Not just performance, but intention. He didn't dance to impress, he danced like he was building a reputation brick by brick. Every move was controlled, every expression calculated. That's CEO energy, whether he knew it or not. But here's where the movie really starts to feel real. EXO-M didn't survive the way EXO-K did. Members left, lawsuits happened. The group's future looked shaky, especially on the Chinese side. Many people expected Lei to follow. Logically, it would have made sense. Emotionally, it would have been easy. But Lei didn't move. He stayed. And that decision alone rewrote how fans, the industry, and even SM Entertainment viewed loyalty. Let's be very clear. Staying wasn't the easy path. Staying meant standing alone in a politically tense, emotionally exhausting, career risk-filled position. Staying meant being questioned by fans on both sides. Staying meant silence when people wanted statements. Staying meant showing up when it would have been easier to disappear. That's not idle behavior. That's long-term brand thinking. While EXO continued group promotions mostly in Korea, Lei quietly started building something bigger in China. Not louder, bigger. Acting roles, variety shows, music production, dance mentoring. He didn't ask for permission to expand, he just executed, slowly, intentionally, and with scary consistency. Then came the shift. Lei stopped being EXO's Chinese member and started becoming Lei Zhang, the industry. He released solo music that wasn't chasing trends, it was defining identity. His albums weren't just collections of songs, they were statements. Control, balance, sheep, lit. Producer Lei wasn't an aesthetic, it was a message. I own my sound. He composed, produced, directed, choreographed. End-to-end control, vertical integration. If this were business school, Lei would be the example slide. And still, despite solo dominance, despite schedules that would break normal humans, he never erased EXO from his narrative. He didn't rewrite history, he didn't distance himself. He always said the same thing, calmly, repeatedly, I am Lei of EXO. Not for PR, not for nostalgia, but because loyalty to him wasn't situational. Now let's talk about pressure. Being a Chinese artist associated with a Korean group during politically sensitive times is not a neutral position. Every move is watched, every word analyzed, every silence judged. Lei became a lightning rod without ever asking to be one. And yet, he survived it without scandals, without chaos, without burning bridges publicly. That takes emotional intelligence most executives never develop. While some idols fade once they leave the group spotlight, Lei multiplied. He became a mentor on survival shows, shaping the next generation. He built Lei Zhang Studio and treated it like a real company, not a vanity project. He signed artists, he trained them, he invested in infrastructure. He didn't just want success, he wanted legacy. And the thing fans don't talk about enough, Lay's discipline borders on insane. He works when others rest. He trains when others celebrate. He studies when others rely on fame. He has spoken openly about pushing himself to physical limits, about collapsing from exhaustion, about choosing work over comfort again and again. Is it healthy? That's a debate. Is it real? Absolutely. Is it why he's still relevant after more than a decade? Without question. What makes Lay special isn't that he's perfect, it's that he's transparent about his flaws. He admits fear, he admits loneliness, he admits doubt, but he never lets those things become excuses. He treats emotion like fuel, not a stop sign. And as a fan, that hits differently. Because watching Lay grow isn't just watching an idol succeed, it's watching someone redefine success on their own terms. It's watching someone prove that you can be soft-spoken and still powerful, polite and still unbreakable, loyal and still independent. When EXO reunites, even briefly, Lay's presence feels symbolic, not just because fans miss him, but because his story is unfinished. He represents the version of EXO that grew beyond geography, beyond contracts, beyond expectations. Lay Zhang didn't just survive the idol system, he outgrew it without disrespecting it. That's rare. In an industry that rewards noise, he chose consistency. In a world obsessed with speed, he chose endurance. In a career built on image, he built substance. So when people ask who Lay Zhang is, the answer isn't short. He's an artist who refused to be limited, a dancer who turned movement into language, a producer who turned control into freedom, a member who turned loyalty into identity. And for fans, for XLLs who watched every stage, every silence, every comeback rumor, every will he return headline, Lay isn't just a member, he's proof. Proof that you can leave the center of the frame and still become the main character. Proof that success doesn't have one location. Proof that real power is quiet, patient, and relentless. And if you stayed until the end of this story, you already know Lay Zhang isn't done. Not even close. And when the screen fades, when the music softens, when the lights go down, there's one feeling that stays longer than applause. Respect. Not the loud kind, the deep kind. The kind you feel when you realize you witnessed someone build a life, not just a career. Lay Zhang's story doesn't end with trophies, charts, or headlines. Those are metrics. Useful, yes, but temporary. What lasts is the blueprint he left behind. The blueprint that says you don't have to abandon where you came from to grow. You don't have to burn bridges to cross oceans. You don't have to scream to be heard. As fans, we didn't just watch Lay perform, we watched him choose. Again and again, choose discipline over comfort, choose loyalty over convenience, choose growth over applause, and sometimes choose silence when the world demanded noise. There were years when his name wasn't on EXO stages, when his chair was empty, when fans waited without answers, and yet somehow he never felt gone, because presence isn't about physical proximity, it's about intention. And Lay never withdrew his heart from EXO, even when his body had to stand elsewhere. That's why when people ask why fans still believe, still wait, still support, the answer is simple: trust. Lay earned it, slowly, quietly, without promises he couldn't keep. This isn't a fairy tale, this is the long game, a story about a man who understood that real success is not a moment, it's a system built on skill, patience, humility, and relentless self-improvement, a system that keeps working even when the spotlight shifts. And maybe that's why Lay resonates beyond fandom, because his journey mirrors real life more than most idol stories ever will. The distance, the sacrifice, the misunderstood choices, the late nights where no one is watching, the pressure to represent more than just yourself. Lei didn't just carry his own dream, he carried expectations, cultures, fans, and history, and he carried them without complaint. So as fans, we don't just say we're proud. Pride is passive. What we feel is gratitude. Gratitude for the music that healed us, the performances that inspired us, the example that reminded us that consistency beats hype every time. And wherever Lei goes next, on any stage, in any country, under any title, this story continues, because legacies don't end when the camera stops rolling. They live in the people who watched, learned, and believed. This wasn't just a story about Lei Zhang. This was a story about endurance, about loyalty, about becoming more without forgetting who you were. And if you're still here, still listening, still watching, then you're part of that story too. Because legends aren't built alone. They're witnessed. And we witnessed Lei.